Good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. My name is Jessie Powers, and we're gonna have a beautiful day today. So let's sing some songs together and enjoy this beautiful service. This song is about getting up every day and knowing that it's gonna be beautiful no matter what. I wake up early to the morning sun. I don't know how it does it every day. It rises up and then it falls again. Born only to die away. Look in the mirror and I see myself. I don't know how I do it every day. Standing on this big blue rock, not knowing what I'm doing here. Still believing there's a reason, keep on keeping on my way. Each time I open my eyes, that's when I get to decide how I'm gonna show up and show out in this life. Everybody say, huh? Huh! Everybody get up. You'll have another chance. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Sing it with me. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. You don't have an excuse. No one is around. You're at home. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. One more time. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Look at the clock, it's running day and night. Got no control in those hands. A little soldier just marching through time. I'm so glad I am not a clock, I am alive, and I can choose to dance each time I open my eyes. Yeah, that's when I get to decide how I am gonna show up and show out in this life. Every time you blink, say, huh, huh. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Everybody get up. Sing it to your dog. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. One more time. Everybody get up. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Here we go. Oh, get up, get up, get up, and be grateful. Say, I'm up, I'm up, I'm up, and I am thankful. Get up, oh, get up, oh, get up, and be grateful. I'm up, say, I'm up, and I'm ready to play. Yeah, everybody, get up, 'cause it's a beautiful day. Everybody get up, oh, 'cause it's a beautiful day. Everybody get up, oh, 'cause it's a beautiful day. Really drag it out this time. Everybody get up, make it real dramatic. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Good morning.
Good morning, and indeed it is a beautiful day, and hallelujah! What a great way to start the morning. Hi, Jessie Powers.
Oh, hi, Keith Cox. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Good. I can tell, and I love it. I love it. What a great way to start not only our service, but our day, every day of that with that song. Is that an original song?
That is an original song, yes.
It's so fantastic. I'm so excited to have you with us today. We have such a fun day planned, and I've been waiting for the day when we would be able to book you, and we have you here today. And what a wonderful service to have you kick off your relationship with CSL-LA and with the one and only Reverend Dr. David Alt as our guest for conversation. It's going to be a fun, fun day. Jessie, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, since you're new to us here at CSL-LA.
Sure. Well, I live in Columbus, Ohio right now, but I'm
Uh-huh.
originally from South Carolina, and I got into New Thought in 2014 here in Columbus when I moved here under Reverend Molly Cameron, if anybody
Uh-huh.
remembers her. Love her.
Love
Um,
her.
yeah, and then for the past like 4 or 5 years, I've been touring and going to different centers and just sharing my music, and it's been a blast. So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you for sharing your music and your light. It's such a pleasure to bear witness to it and participate in it. So we're gonna have a really good time today.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be here. It's a
Yeah,
great energy. So,
yeah, good. It's gonna be great. All right, cool. So we'll see you in a bit.
okay.
All right, sounds good. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and I'm the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And welcome to our Sunday morning virtual celebration service. We come together every Sunday morning to honor the power and the presence of the divine that exists by means of you and by means of me. We come together to remember this power that exists within us and the role that we get to play with great opportunity to be a co-creator into the life that we all desire to experience. And so what a joy it is to have both Jesse Powers as our musical artist today and to have the one and only Dr. David Alt as the our guest today for Conversations with Dr. Keith. It's going to be a fantastic day, and I just want you to know that wherever you are physically in the world, let's all believe that you're in the perfect and right place to open up and to feel the presence of God in a new way and to allow the light of the divine to spark something anew within each and every one of us as we allow and participate in the unfolding of this time together. So without further ado, I'm going to put on the screen our opening slides, and then we'll get that underway. And so we are indeed here as a community to support individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. That is our vision statement as a community, and that is exactly what we come together to do, whether it's in person or virtually, is to honor that power, as I said earlier, within each and every one of us, so that we may each find some greater awakening than we had before, and ultimately, in so doing, find that personal self-empowerment. The slide on the screen right now is an opportunity for each of us to say hello to each other. I love the graphics of it because it's colorful in nature and one that's relatable to all. And let's all take a deep breath in together and imagine ourselves connected to each other, transcendent of technology, and move into an act of namaste, which is a Sanskrit word, which means I bow to thee. So often in our modern day terminology, we use the term, the God in me honors and acknowledges the God in you. And whatever that may be, let's use it as a greeting for each other together as we bring our hands together in prayer position, taking a deep breath in and bowing forward and saying together, Namaste, and feeling that connection that we each share. And so as we honor this connection, let's take a moment to not only welcome each other, but feel that power and presence. As a community, we teach primarily the philosophy, faith, and way of life known as the science of mind. The science of mind is a compilation of all the great spiritual wisdoms of the world at the time and was put together by the one and only Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes. It's published in a book called The Science of Mind. At its core, the science of mind's philosophy is that there's only one thing happening in life. It's life itself. And this power and presence that I keep referring to, that we call God, but is also known as Yahweh or Allah or Buddha or you and me, individualizes itself by means of each one of us through our minds. And through our minds, we have the opportunity to experience and express and process the power itself. We do that through our thoughts, our actions, our reactions, our interactions with the very thing itself. And because we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law, that totality of how we use our power and know ourselves to be shows back up to us in life experiences, in forms. So if we're not happy or pleased with what's going on in our life, or even simply just have the desire to have a different experience, in its most simplistic form, what we're called to do is to change our thinking. Adding to that, it's about changing behavior and ideology and beliefs. But at its core, it's to change your thinking so that you change your life. The law of life responds to that. And so as a community, we do that by constantly evolving into a greater awareness and acceptance of who we are and honoring the divine that exists in each and every one of you. Once again, our vision statement is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. As a community, we come together and welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origins, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities. We stand with you, and we want you to know, albeit virtually, but because we are energetically connected, we stand with you and want you to know that you're indeed safe here. Many of you have heard before that my favorite Ernest Holmes quote is, "Spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you." Meaning that we not only honor and welcome the individualized expression that is you, but we celebrate it. So please affirm with me together what's now on the screen. We welcome one and we welcome all. I'd like to open each service with a ritual. It's called Calling in the Light. It's a moment and time for reflection. And as we each look onto the screen and see the orb of light, let's know together that today we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering more conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. Those include, but are not limited to, peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. So as we feel the vibrations shift during this experience, may we become ever more aware of the light of life that exists in and as all expressions of life, which indeed includes you and it includes me. And so focusing on the flickering flame on the screen and watching it transform into a heart, and letting that heart be the symbol of love. Ernest Holmes defines love as the self-givingness of spirit whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself, and it does that through you and through me. Let's all open up to an expanded awareness and acceptance of the light of life within each and every one of us. I'd like to read a quote from Ernest Holmes to set the stage further for this ritual. There is one life, that life is God. And that life is my life now. In God I live and move and have my being, and God lives in me and moves through me. I affirm this today. The life of God is the only life there is, and that life is my life now. Complete and perfect. Jesse's going to come on the screen and take us through our song, Calling in the Light, which is a call and response song. And I invite you to sing along.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Say after me. I am love, I am love, I am peace, I am peace. In my heart, in my heart, I am free, I am free. I am spirit, I am spirit, I am soul, I am soul, all together we are whole. calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. One more time. Calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is.
So it is. Fantastic. Jesse, I just love the shift in the style of music from your opening song to your interpretation and version of Calling in the Light.
Oh, thank you.
Calling in
Thanks.
the Light is such a wonderful song and written by Bunny Hall and John Gilliton. And it's so stimulating and inspiring to hear each artist's own version. And I want you to know how much I honor you for having reached out this week and said, hey, can you send me a YouTube of one that's been done? And I did. And then you took it and digested it and then revealed it as your own. It's truly one of the most beautiful versions that we've ever heard.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Thank
It's
you.
true. Well, for both those of you that know me, sweet's not really my nature, but I do speak truth.
That's
I
even
don't say
better.
things. I'm not a smoke blower. It's not really my nature. So. When David Hall comes out, he can affirm then reaffirm that. You'll know. So, um, yeah. So it's such a joy to have you here today. Share with us the next song you're going to sing. Tell us about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, the next song is called The Love Song of Everything, and it's a song I wrote about how basically God or Spirit is constantly singing this beautiful love song to us through our inhales and our exhales,
I
and
love it.
through everything, but also primarily through our breath. So, 'cause it's
Wonderful.
always with us.
Thank you. We'll take it away.
Great. Cool. All right. I won't ask you to sing during this one, but I will ask you to breathe with me. I don't want to give words to this. Anything you have to interpret will only eclipse the part of it. I just want to send it in sound with a wavelength clarity. Ooh, nothing I could ever say will resonate the same way that this love does in me. Inhale, exhale, breathe. Somewhere in the beat of your heart, there I am. And somewhere underneath all the war-torn believing, there you have always been. It's something like a melody, it's something like a song, and it sings itself and it's never wrong. Oh, everywhere it plays for me, it's always on repeat. It's the love song of everything. Inhale, exhale, breathe. It's not just there in my body. It's not just there in the thoughts that I think. It's there in the roots, in the skies and the seas, in the eyelids, the irises, the wind and the wings, in the will be, the ever was, the reason and the just because I am am the song that I sing. Inhale, exhale, breathe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So touching. We'll see you in a bit. So excited to share the time together, but with Jesse, obviously, but also with all of you. I see there's a lot of new individuals that have joined us in our Zoom and on YouTube today, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. I know that part of the great draw today, besides me, of course, is the one and only David Alt. And I, of course, want to call him by Reverend Dr. David Alt, but my soul brother David Alt is transcendent of any of these labels. As so many of you know, he's a visionary leader in the human potential movement and has been promoting mindfulness and global literacy and social justice for over 30 years, traveling the world as a teacher, as a guide, as a transformative being. His purpose in life is evolving more and more every day to be a bridge to the awakening of humanity. It states in his bio that his sole purpose is of bridging our collective forgetfulness into our great collective reawakening. He's done an amazing work over the years, either through with Louise Hay, with her Hay Rides back in the 80s, invoking healing and transformative thinking and through the AIDS crisis, as well as being an advocate for education on the planet. He's been a pulpit minister, he's been a musician, a successful musician, all of that. But I know that in addition to his own personal growth over the years, his pride and joy is the Kaleidoscope Child Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that empowers vulnerable children and communities worldwide with sustainable education skills and clean water. He's a transformative being on this planet, and one that is fun and joyful and clear and insightful. And let me go back to fun and joyful. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome my beloved brother, David Alt. Hey, buddy.
I wish that I had an Irish accent that I could say, happy Sabbath, but I don't.
Well, you can that. I'm sure.
But can we all agree that I would be absolutely fine if Jesse just sang for the entire
Yes, I agree.
hour? Wow.
I agree.
So
I know,
fantastic.
right?
Mm,
Such an example of trust and just the gift of the divine. She's just so beautiful on every level. So,
yeah.
And my intuition told me to reach out and book Jessie. We hadn't really known each other, and I booked her and didn't really ever even listen to her music. I just knew that she is a presence, and I just trusted that, right? So we're singing your praises, Jessie Powers. You'll be back to sing more songs in a moment. So
She's blushing in the chat room.
she's like, there she is.
See, this is my tribe of people. This is the kind of temperament and mindset and joy that I love to be around. So,
well, I was
yay.
thinking before you came on of so many fun times we've had together over the years, and then also times of growth. I know I'm not going to share any of those stories. Flashing back to a night in Chicago specifically, but but I remember when I took some classes with you years ago and did it was a class on planning for the new year. So I think we did vision.
Oh,
I know we have a long, rich history. So David, there's just so much that's transpired in your life since I've last talked to you or seen you, and you've been traveling the world and making a huge impact on people's lives. And just out of the gate, what would you like to share? What insights have you had? What awakenings have you experienced?
Mm. Again, how many hours do we have? But forefront in the vision and in my heart is the work that I get to do with Kaleidoscope Child Foundation and the founding of that. And it's actually been 20 years since the event that occurred on the banks of a lake in Cambodia that prompted all of this.
Hmm.
20 years in January. And I'm like, it seems like an eternity ago, but I'm in awe as I reflect back of just exactly how much has been able to appear out of the ethers to be in the tangible, out of the intangible, simply by one little statement. And if your watchers read the Science of Mind magazine, I was honored to be able to have an article about those 20 years in the January, February issue. And in that article, it said that I was in this situation, starving children. We were working together as a group to just participate in a solution, no matter how singular it was. And I was practicing with a mantra, and I read it from a guy named Doug Boyd, and he said the most powerful mantra you could ever say is "I'm available."
Hmm.
And then he said, "Look out, because if you mean it, if you're sincere, your whole world will change." And I said that. I said that on the banks of that river in Cambodia when we were feeding those children. I continued to say that not just with regards to how to move forward in something I had absolutely no idea how to do with regards to nonprofits and schools and things like that, but also just personally in my life, that everything that was fearful or everything that had yet to present itself for healing, rather than turn away from it or medicate it or intellectualize my way out of it, I just kept silently in my own practice saying, I'm available. I'm available. And today, I will tell you that that has been probably the cornerstone of my spiritual practice, is just saying, I'm available.
I flash back to you're saying that into my own personal journey of I think you and I both were a little bit on the forefront of following in an intention that actually Dr. David Walker set for the unit for the Religious Science International organization when he first went to Cape Town, South Africa, for the Parliament of World Religions. It was, I believe, one of the first times anyone in our movement had really gone abroad to share who and what we are. And then your project, and then my project in Malawi, and so many have followed after that. But I remember in a ministerial class where we had to come up with a vision statement. So it's sort of like you got a mantra, and we had to like turn it in, and I had not done my homework, of course, right? So I'm sitting there, and I opened up, and what came out through me was turning possibilities into realities through a spiritual awakening. And that's a similar concept, and that has been the
Mhm.
same thing, the cornerstone of life for me since then. And it really has provided opportunity to make a difference on this planet, that you've done, that I've done that work. And one of the things that I love about the work that you and I, among many others, have done now in our world is that it seems to come from a place that is essence driven. It's not ego driven, which I think was a cornerstone a lot of the 20th century part of this teaching. And not making that wrong, it was just about understanding the evolution of mind and what possibilities exist there. And just life itself was different in that time. Um, so, so thank you for being open and being available to
Mm.
walking as grace. I think is probably what it would be. You know. So when you hear the
Yeah.
term spiritual awakening, what does that mean to you?
I've always had an interesting relationship with the word awakening,
Uh
and I
huh.
would switch it to reawakening.
Uh huh.
And the reason why I would do that is that it would sort of trigger something in my brain that said, no, you have always been awakened. You are awakenedness. What you are experiencing in those moments of surrender and acceptance is a reawakening to that which you already are. And sometimes language helps me with that. And so awakening, reawakening to me is the whole reason why we're here. It's navigating through paradox. It's coming through into what I call the plane of form, Earth, this plane of form where the rule of the game or the curriculum is duality, separation, us and them, right and wrong, good or bad. Um, and how dense that is, and when we are not awakened or when we are asleep, as Rumi would always say, don't go back to sleep. But when we walk around in that dullness or that sleep state, then we don't shake the sleeping self out of that duality, and then we believe that. And I've been involved in some Buddhist meditation courses for quite a while now, and one of the ways that they explain that is they say the conceptual mind, that everything is a concept. Even my name, David, is a concept. Even what I think of me as a being is a concept. And so all you have to do is look around your room and look at everything and the labels and definitions that we have applied to it and go, okay, that's a concept.
Mhm.
And so those concepts were born of thought. And so even thought, the conceptual mind, and to get to this state of reawakening is to be open to getting beyond whatever the conceptual mind is. Easier said than done. And can only really be done so far that I've learned through practice,
Right.
through putting myself in situations of fear and turning and facing limitations and even experimenting with something that has been quite interesting as I'm not going to say we, as I age, is the idea of no thingness
Hmm.
or nobodiness,
Hmm.
and letting go of the somethingness, because we were born into this dualism, and part of that curriculum is the somebody training. And we learn you got to be somebody. And isn't it great if you can be somebody who? And I won't lie, there I didn't realize how much ego was involved or interwoven in my founding years of Kaleidoscope. And not from a conscious, like, look at me, but from this place of working out my unworthiness through doing good,
Hmm.
working out my unworthiness, again, not even being able to articulate the levels of that unworthiness, and sort of using that as a platform or fuel that as long as I could keep doing this, then I would be worthy. And you really start to see then that if I keep saying I'm available, then that has to become dismantled. And the whole striving for being somebody also reaches a point where that has to become dismantled.
Well, I think this is why I love the vision statement for our community so much. Supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. It's all going to be different for everyone, and it's going to be
Mhm.
different for everyone as they find their awakenings and become more empowered, right? And then what those words mean to each individual, right? And based on the journey of their experience in mind, both personally, familially, um, journey of the everyday, the walk of everyday life, of our humanity expressing itself, and then the collectiveness of mind itself, right? So all of those pieces come into play. My personal journey is one has of tuning into to the best of my ability the oneness and the wholeness that exist, while also understanding that I live in a multidimensional world. Right? Like it's a paradox, and yet it's also a reality, and it's a spiritual truth, and it's an experience, and it's an experience that's a result of life, and it's also an experience of a result of my perception of life and also my participation in life. Like all of that
Yeah.
exists at the same time, right? Our theme this month is time after time. It all exists at the same time. So then what am I called to do? I oftentimes hear the great Marianne Williamson say, you're not called to do anything. It's what are you called to be,
Hmm.
right? What are we called to be? And then to not beat ourselves up if we don't meet the um, our own personal expectation around that, or certainly the expectation of others.
And I think you and I had last talked somewhere early in the pandemic, and it was
Yes.
shortly after this. I hate using these kind of jargon words like download, but this awareness that insanity is forcing a singular dimensional answer to a multidimensional experience.
Right.
And boy, that just has continued to boil and bubble over and over again, where we're trying to label, again, conceptual mind, label and define people and traumas and wounds and all of these things. And I was doing some really, really deep work not too long ago. And the whole conceptual memory of feeding those children on the banks of that lake in Cambodia was was um, was authored in a sort of narrative where we, as this group, had organically fed these children.
Mhm.
And the narrative got turned up, and it was no, you didn't feed them, they fed you. You were the actual ones starving.
Mhm.
And it was so that the whole idea of nothing is as it seems, no thing is as it seems had a greater clarity for me than it ever had up until now. It wasn't words anymore. It was an experience.
And how about both can be true? Like you could have been feeding them and them
Sure.
you, right? It's
Well, exactly that. And
essentially you're
that's,
saying no thing seem as it appears. I believe that's what you said. And I've been trying to figure out what what mechanical object is sitting on the shelf on your over your right shoulder, and then it all came clear as you were saying that it's the tree of life, right?
mhm.
So, so it's like in real time here it kind of unfolded.
And again, it's like, this, I keep referring to this Buddhist class, but it's been so meaningful for me when we toss around words like, it's all a game or it's an illusion or it's a dream. And, and the Lama's like, yes, it is a dream. And you still have the capability to make it a good dream rather than a nightmare. I was like, oh, that's what living in the paradox is. That's what the bodhisattva is. You understand that suffering is inevitable in this plane of existence.
Right.
You and I are never going to erase yin yang. So there will always be the element of that duality in existence. Once you understand that, but you know you are not that, then you can go back in and do that thing from that place of helping reawaken, alleviate the suffering that those who have yet to arrive do. And what I love about that, it kind of reminds me of Michael Beckwith one time saying that if you march into a systemic issue like this, you just amplify the systemic issue. But if you are a person who understands what a vision is and you bring the vision into the systemic issue, then there is room for healing. Then there is room for transformation. And that's always been very beautiful to me. It's like how do I become that? And I love a vision or a visionary is someone who sort of understands this and has an aim, but realizes that they will never complete it.
Right. Because we're human.
Right.
Yeah, because I so often think of the work that David Leonard used to do with us at Asilomar of dancing with the beloved, but it was really all
Right.
about, I mean, that was a physical experience that was wonderful and touching and beautiful. But if you look at that from a different level of it, that we truly are on our pathway dancing with our humanity, with our divinity at all times, and with the divinity of others and their humanity. And it's how we engage in that and respond to that and open up to that. And it's so many layers to that. um, that allows us to grow, for lack of a better term, in our awareness.
Hmm.
I always like to use the work of David Hawkins as spiraling up into a higher framework of consciousness while still understanding and using what I believe was such a gift at a young stage in my life as the principles of our teaching of the science of mind, right? Of understanding that scientific element of it while at the same time playing in the field of being esoteric with spirit and dancing with it, right? There's a quote.
And
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, you
Go.
go ahead.
Go.
No, you, no, you, no.
All right. There's a quote I'm going to throw at you. This one I've been using a lot lately.
Okay.
I'm going to see how you respond to it. Finding yourself, and it's from Emily McDowell. Finding yourself is not really how it works. You aren't a $10 bill in last winter's coat pocket. You're also not lost. Your true self is right there, buried under cultural conditioning, other people's opinions, and inaccurate conclusions you drew as a kid that became your beliefs about who you are. Finding yourself, in quotation marks, is actually returning to yourself. An unlearning, an excavation, a remembering who you were before the world got its hands on you.
It's spot on.
Yeah.
I used this in a talk I did earlier this morning about there's an Indian fable about a lioness who's pregnant
Mm-hmm.
and she's hungry and she comes upon this flock of goats, and out of her both exuberance and starvation, she overexerts and gives birth while she's trying to attack these goats and subsequently dies. And once the all the activity calms down, the goats that had fled come back and they find this little baby lion who's been abandoned with the mother dead. And so they take it as one of its own. And similar stories say then how this lion is raised by goats and never and eats grass instead of meat. And instead of exploring its roar, it learns to, I think they say goats bleat, bleh,
Uh-huh.
that terminology, until in its adolescence, an adult lion comes and sees it and stalks the goats, and the goats flee. But for some reason, his innate inherentness doesn't make him flee. He just kind of observes. And the lion says, wait a minute, have you been raised by goats? And he goes, meh. And the lion is just mortified. And so he takes this young lion and he brings him back to the den, and he's surrounded by the other lions, and they feed him meat, and he gags on the meat. And the metaphor of that particular piece is that when truth is ingested, but you've never partaken of it before, there's almost an affront to it that's too much. And then he takes him to the reflection of a pond nearby, and he says, look, you are me. And that's so significant with regards to what you just read in that quote. It's like we've been raised by goats and we're lions, and no offense to goats, but we've been raised in this dualistic mythology. And what we are at our true essence is it's indescribable. It's the vessel and the instrument of the one. We are the one absorbed into the one.
We are, and one of the things that it's been my mission and passion in my ministry to support for individuals is that I'm going to back up a second. I think so often we were taught, I know we were taught, that our spiritual awakenings, our moments of enlightenment, our ahas, had to be the earth and the sky opening up and lightning bolts coming down and these huge momentous experiences, right? Like my ex used to say to me, why does everything in life have to be preceded by a marching band? It's like, well, why shouldn't it? Like actually preceded by majorettes and then the band, right? But in perspective, that those moments of remembrance oftentimes are not like that. They're personal, and they're, if you were to say in scale, small in the
Right.
context of lightning bolts and stuff. And it's their everyday activities. That's how one um, builds that faith musculature, if you will. That's how one builds a consciousness of receptivity and surrender, right? Because I really think so much of life is about surrender.
And
Um,
consider that the aha moment is not the first time that that's
right,
been presented to you. It's from all the things you just described. There has finally been a dissolution or an opening to, or a greater degree of surrender to be able to see the thing.
right,
So it's not the first time that that's come. It's probably the 1019th time that that thing has come around. And finally, we're in that place to be able to receive it.
right, right. You know, a catchword today is grace. And we hear it so often of, I'm going to give that person grace. And I'm like, well, grace, I always think to myself, well, grace isn't yours to give. Like, it's like, like thank you, but, give me an egg McMuffin. You want to give me something? Give me an egg McMuffin. Grace, I can invite in on my own.
Oh, humans, humans.
But in the context of what we're speaking of, being open and available to grace in that sense is important, right? It's that which shows up in life, which appears to be not paranormal, but certainly mystical, right?
Mhm.
And mystical is really, I taught a class series on the practice of mysticism. And if you congeal it down, the nature of mysticism is really just about honoring and acknowledge the oneness of life. That's really what it's about. So I think
Mhm.
that's what we're called. I believe that's what we're called to do in practice, as you said earlier. Like we're here to practice that.
So something that's helped me with these words, these conceptual words that we've put definitions to, like infinite, because that's probably one of my favorite words,
Uh-huh.
infinite. And the void or emptiness. It's when people study Buddhism, for example, they use the word emptiness a lot, and it's actually kind of a turnoff to somebody who's not really um, that much exposed or interested in teachings of Buddhism, because it seems so it seems so ugh, emptiness. But actually, it's emptiness cannot be defined in Sanskrit. Like the closest word that they have to something that is describing the infinite nature of the all is called shunyata. And shunyata, it's like there's a border, and on one side of the border is the duality, and on the other side of the border is the non-dual. And truth be told, we standing on this side of the border in the duality, we can't understand what's in the non-dual. We can't.
Right.
It will always be conceptual until such time that the veil between those two becomes so thin that we have an experience. So you might say that that's an example of an aha, or that's an example of a mystical experience, is that the veil between that is we sort of go into the across the border into shunyata, and we have that. And then, ironically, that's sort of a craving, because now we want more of that. But now we're back on this side of the border, and that's where the journey and the continuance of the practice of how do I stay more in that non-dual? How do I be in this world of the dual, but not of the world? How can I have what it is that I experienced over here? And I love the way the Hindus describe it. It's like being in the room with God.
Hmm.
We get to visit. I think all of us have visited that room, but I want to figure out how to stay in the room and still be in the world.
Well, wouldn't the my answer to that would be to do one's best to be in the world not in God, but as God, but
Mhm.
not as God from an egoic perspective. So not trying to walk as God, but to walk with God walking through us, right? Isn't that's the
Sure.
objective, right? That's
Sure. And I think, and forgive me, I'll use the word challenge
yeah,
with that is the is the saturation of the duality, is the
Yeah.
conceptual mind constantly around us 24/7. And so as you point out, then take it literally, as you just described, and go into an untenable situation and walk in that, and observe, just become the observer or the witness of the way in which the ego wants to fix it or to do something. And it can be very difficult practice.
Well, of course it can, but that's
Yeah.
that's part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I oftentimes teach and like to practice to the best of my ability, and that's we'll come back to that in a second, is the philosophy of Deepak Chopra, right? Which is our role is to set the intention. We don't have to fix it or do it or be it. It's to set the intention because the law of life responds. His quote is inherent within the seed of intention is the fulfillment of its desire. Right? And so if we can set the intention and then continually set the intention and set the intention, then just as we're speaking of walking, then that movement comes along with that. I want to go back to what I said was one of my um, mantras really in life has become to do what I can, to be what I can to the best of my ability. Right? And if I don't live up to that, then I try again. I start again. It's this the age old ideology of if not of self-flagellation if I didn't accomplish it. I'm over that. I'm done with it. I don't think that serves any purpose. And I think that I believe there's a huge component of certainly religious science in the 20th century. There was a huge component of that there
Hmm.
because we were taught that everything in your life is a result of what you've been thinking, and that's just a crock. It's just not true. It's not true, and it's not serving our greater good. We certainly can understand that there is a component of how we think that impacts our world, and we can certainly use our mind in a way to propagate good, if you will.
Hmm.
But it's not that black and white, and it's not that simple.
Right. I am so on the same page with you. It's um, like taking illness as if it's a punishment for
Right.
wrong thinking, and yet in the plane of form, in this duality, illness is. It just is.
Yeah.
It's something, the body ages, we get old and we die. And so to try to create prevention energy around something that is baked into the curriculum of being human is not doable. What is how can I be in the moment of this
Right.
illness? How can I be in the now, be here now in the process of this without wishing I was somewhere else?
Right.
Because it's in that moment of the now that so much is revealed.
Yes. And that doesn't mean one denies any tools or mechanism that's
Mm-mm,
provided to us through
exactly.
intelligence and wisdom for healing. I oftentimes think of how I came into this type of philosophy, which was with the Atlanta Church of Religious Science in the early 80s. And I
Mm.
remember Kennedy Schultz, God bless Kennedy Schultz, and he would wag his finger at you, sometimes with love and sometimes not, right? But I do remember something he said that I think is so profound in the context of what we're talking about. He said, and I'm going to paraphrase. He'd be like, "We need to get to the day where when someone asks what did they die of, be having been informed someone died, that the answer is they died of a Thursday." Right? Which is that evolutionary way of looking at it. The other stuff doesn't matter. Like it's because we all come into this
Mm.
form with life and we leave this form as life, right?
Mhm.
The details are somewhat, if not extremely, insignificant.
And going back to you and talking about intention, for me, what I would see myself, or how I would apply that, is maybe there's just one intention. And
Uh-huh.
the one intention for me is to strip away anything that is hiding or masking my true nature. And whoa.
I love that.
And it happened. It keeps happening over and over and over again.
What a if we were to all be able to do that to the best of our ability as often as we could, imagine, literally imagine how life would feel, and not only how it would feel for each of us individually, but we all know that we're interconnected. And
Mhm.
so through that interconnectedness, the impact we could have. I believe that's what Dr. Barbara Marx Hubbard says when living in conscious evolution is one who comes from the essence, not the ego. So
Hmm.
Kennedy Schultz used to, my other Kennedy Schultz quotes, and I'll move it. He used to say, you remember, he used to say, we don't need 10 commandments, there should only be one. Mind your own business. Perfect and
Oh my God. My God.
perfect and profound. Well,
Yeah.
David, we've come to the end of our time together. Are there any parting words you'd like to say in this moment?
You are a lion.
You're a lion. You little goat, you. No. Well, I love you. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Yeah, I miss seeing you.
I
God, it's
miss
been a
seeing
long
you
time.
too. Yeah,
Hmm.
so we'll have to change that since we're not on the pathway of, well, we'll just leave it at that. So Jesse's going to come back and sing another song for us. And then at the end, I'm going to have you take us out on a meditation or a prayer, whatever feels right for you. So,
Okay.
Jesse, welcome back.
Hey, thank you. What a wonderful thing to bear witness to that conversation. I appreciate that so much.
Welcome.
And it inspired this other song choice, different from the one I was originally going to do. So I wrote this song several months ago and I decided to put all of my books in the basement because I was so sick of reading about spirituality and intellectualizing it. And I wanted to embody what I knew. So this is called The Image. And it's just about what would happen if maybe we knew that we are the image of God, that we are God. There in the center of my soul, I can feel you all around me. Something holy and untold, but I hear it perfectly. Somehow in the deepness of now, I can see we were made in the image. We were made in the image of love. We were made in the image. Yeah, we were made in the image of love. Here and now, I can see I was made beautifully. We were made in the image. Yeah, we were made in the image of love. Beyond books and words and songs and concepts, at the gate of all my longing, leaving certainty behind. I take one step and you come running. It's clear. In the sweetness of here, I can see we were made in the image. Yeah, we were made in the image of love. We were made in the image. Oh, we were made in the image of love. Here and now, I can see you were made beautifully. We were made in the image. We were made in the image of love. Love, love, flow like water. Love, love, move in me. Love, image of love. Here and now, I can see we were made perfectly. We were made in the image. We were made in the image of love.
Not only were we made in that image, but you are a vision of that image. So thank you so much. A huge shout out and thank you to Jessie for being here today to shine her light, the light of the image of the divine. A big thank you. We're going to do more of this, Jessie. More and more of this, yes. A big thank you to David for sharing this time together. And a big thank you to Travis, our audio technician, who helped get us all in play and ready today, and to Robert, our social media specialist as well. A big thank you to each one of you. I'm going to put on the screen right now a way to support us financially, and know that all of your contributions are deeply appreciated and honored and acknowledged and put to use, not only for the purpose of the Center for Spiritual Living thriving as a community, but also we're a tithing community and tithe back to making good on our planet. You can see on the screen the ways to do that. You can go to our website, csl-la.org, and click on donate, or you can go to the app, our app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living, which is a fantastic app with lots of resources there. You can mail in a check, 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California. That's our physical home, which we'll be back at on Easter Sunday with a great day planned for that. So I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible there. And then also, if there's questions, my phone number's on the screen. You can call here and be happy to support you in that. Well, you know that we have a new thought text of the day that goes out each morning at 7:30. You can sign up for that on our website, as well as a newsletter and a midweek morning meditation. So we're going to please avail yourself of all of that. And thank you all for the new individuals who are here. We're going to close out with Dr. David giving us a meditation or a prayer. And then following that, Jessie's going to sing the song Love Is My Decision. And you're welcome to sing along with that when she does that. And then we'll say goodbye to those of you on YouTube. And for those of you that are on Zoom, we'll stay on for a bit and say hello to each other. So
very quickly, if you'll just join me wherever you are and just take a moment, again, conscious breath, perhaps closing your eyelids. And I want you to consider the words of our founder, Ernest Holmes, when he said, imagine that you are especially looked after. Imagine that you are especially looked after. And perhaps it's been a while since you've done something like that. But the consideration that everything that is equated to freedom, liberation, the reunion, the reawakening of your wholeness not only exists in the here and now, but it is that thing that is a part of looking after you, calling you home. Let this moment and let this time together be one step closer to allowing yourself to not only just consider that conceptually, but to begin to surrender to it, to allow it, to feel it in all ways. Walk around all day today going, I am especially looked after, and know that by doing so, that you become more available and more in receptivity to that. And together we say, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you. So all please feel free to sing along if you'd like to know the words. If not, just take it in as a support for the prayer David just gave us.
It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now.
And so it is. Peace out, everyone. Have a fantastic day and a fantastic week, and be the love that you are.